Good day, chess world. So today we continue our exploration of the wonderful book, Logical Chess, Move by Move, and we are now on game 6. And the next series of games are a wonderful demonstration of how to use the mating pattern called Lollis Mate. We're going to see that later on. What does Lollis Mate look like? But certainly the next 4 games are all a brilliant collection of this specific mating pattern. And what you can pick up and learn out of this game and the following games is how do we, number one, force those weaknesses in the opponent's pawn structure. Number two, how do we occupy holes, weak squares around the opponent's position? And then how do we successfully overwhelm the opponent with pieces to force mate or victory? So let's jump right into it. This one is a victory for black. This game was played in 1899, and we're going to see a very interesting beginning. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop to b5. This is what is called the Ruy Lopez or the Spanish game. And as we'll see, black plays a very interesting move. They play this move f5, and it looks very strange, this move. But this is actually called the Skillman defense, and it's quite intriguing. We've looked at earlier the ideas of the King's Gambit in game number 4. Go back to that video, and that was where white used the pawn from the side to challenge and fight for the middle. So the idea here by black is the same. They're trying to take a pawn and trade it for a middle pawn. And as we'll see, white does not get the best response in this game, showing that this is a very viable system against the Ruy Lopez, and very interesting. White tries to counter in the middle with pawn to d4, and as we will see, this is a very dangerous response for white, and they have to walk carefully so that they don't get overwhelmed, because black, of course, captures the pawn from the side, now jumps into the middle, and here the only good move for white is bishop takes knight. But instead they played knight takes e5, falling into a very common trap. Now, obviously, when this game was played in 1899, this was not common. So now the point is that the knight captures on e5, the pawn captures back, and then black plays a very smart move, pawn to c6. Very interesting. The idea is, yes, chasing the bishop, gaining time. But also, here's a good theme for you to remember: loose pieces fall off, and this pawn on e5 is loose. So he is setting up a very dastardly little trap. And here, white plays bishop c4, falling hook, line, and sinker for the problem. Queen a5, check, and bye-bye. The pawn is going to fall, and with it, the last remnants of the center that white had. So the knight comes to c3, queen takes e5, and here we can see now that white is ahead on development, but black has that superior control of the middle. White here should play bishop takes on g8, which is a strange looking move, but as we'll see, the bishop gets itself caught in trouble because now d5, and the strategy has worked so wonderfully well for black in this game, trading the pawn from the side to overwhelm and take over the center. What a wonderful example of dominance of the center by black. Go through, if you haven't already, game 5, previous video, where white used the same strategy of central control with the pawns, that dominance. Look at this control here. The e5 square is occupied by the queen. e4 is controlled by this pawn. This is such a difficult position for white to play, besides the fact that they're a pawn down. Yes, white is ahead on development, but we're also learning now about a temporary advantage and a long-term advantage. So temporarily, white is ahead in development, but very soon black will solve that. So white needs to be able to generate something, but they cannot generate threats. They cannot win material somewhere. Why? Because that central control that black has. So white plays bishop b3, knight to f6, starting to catch up on development, bishop to e3, and then, of course, bishop d6. What a wonderful ability here. We see the space advantage means that attacking on this king side is so much easier for black because they can easily get the queen, the bishop to attack, the knight to join in, the bishop to join in. Look out for these chances. And a tip for you is if you are not sure where you should play sometimes, where you should attack, try to look at the center. Look at your center pawns and notice these pawns point like an arrow at the black king, at the white king, meaning black has got a much easier chance to successfully bring pieces there. Also remember the rule of three. We see it again and again as part of a successful attacking process. Look at the bishop, queen, knight, plus this light squared bishop that can join in. That's 4 pieces. White is struggling to get pieces across to defend. So because of the pressure, they have to play pawn g3. They light up these weak light squares. Those are now holes. Those are squares the white pawns cannot control. Those are the squares that black would like to occupy and take hold of. So for you in your games, this is what you're looking to create: weaknesses, gaps in the opponent's position. Now we want to take advantage of those gaps. So bring in a new piece, bishop g4. This is done with time. What a wonderful example. White plays what seems like a logical move, queen d2, and he occupies this hole here. And this is exceptionally dangerous. The plan, as we will see, for black is super simple, is they want to get a queen onto g2 with mate. That's mate, real simple. How do we get there? We're going to h3. How do we get there? We're going to f5. White does not see a way to stop this path. They play bishop f4. The queen comes into f5. So white comes up with a very clever defensive resource, knight to d1. The knight will come round to defend on e3 and hold on to this square. Now I want you to think in your games, very smart how white has found a piece that can protect on that square. If you were playing black, what would you go ahead here? What would you do? And this is very important when we look at a position like this to remember that rule of three, saying, okay, if my opponent would like to bring the knight, when the knight arrives on e3, that is going to be one piece defending against our bishop and our queen. Now we need to bring in another piece here. Absolutely wonderful. So what do? We play queen h3, knight e3, and then we bring in a new weapon, a new piece, knight into g4. And we have the white king entombed. We call this a Lollis mate pattern, where there is a bishop here. It could also be a pawn, the queen occupying h3 and setting up mate. And the start is there's 2 phases to Lollis mate. Once we have this occupation, we are threatening checkmate here. But then the final phase is also bringing in the knight. And now look at this wonderful occupation of all of these holes. And there is absolutely nothing white can do. They will be checkmated because it is now a checkmate threat on h2. It is a checkmate on g2. So here white then plays rook f to e1. And, well, question to you. Mate in 2, can you see it? Of course, follow the checks. We've spoken about it before. Your calculation process should be number 1 priority to checks, number 2 to captures, and number 3 to the simple threats. Queen takes check. Here he resigned because after king to f1, queen h1 is mate. And what a spectacular, successful attack we've seen in this case. And let's unpack what you can learn from this game and what you can take forward. The opening was very interesting, a very interesting phase where we get that in, but we're more focused on the middle game and the approach. Once black had established this big center, what was their focus? Immediately, they started to develop pieces with the intent of going towards the king side. So we get this move bishop b3, and then knight f6, logical development, but bishop d6, if we take note here, these pawns are sitting here pristine, no weaknesses, no gaps for now. So we need the pawns to move, because of course we're threatening mate. If your opponent misses mate, we'll happily checkmate them. So the opponent must make a weakness now. They must make a gap. So with that weakness, they play pawn g3. Then your job in the game is to say, okay, the pawns have moved. Where are the weak squares that I can target? Identify weaknesses and then we want to go and attack them. As I said to you, watch the next few videos as well. They will also unpack the same attacking pattern so that you can become proficient in this, become a master of this. And the idea is now bishop g4. We don't just immediately go into h3. Why? Because we need something on this outpost, and you can now see with Lollis mate, really smart. Get the bishop on the square, and the queen will follow up. There is no surviving now for white unless they want to give up a large amount of material. So queen to d2, and now this is a horrible, horrible situation for white. They are powerless to stop because this bishop is on what we call an outpost. It is a square that is protected by a pawn, and in here it's the best kind of outpost. It cannot be chased away by any pawn in this scenario. And then we see the occupation of the light squares. I want you to see how easy it is for black now to infiltrate on the light squares. They're not even concerned if the bishop was going to take the bishop, because we immediately have queen here with a checkmate. Remember, we win because of checkmate. That's our focus. And then this final occupation, remember this in your mind. If you can do this to the opponent's king side, this is a seriously beautiful attack. So a wonderful victory demonstrating, number one, how do we take that central dominance that we saw from black, where they occupied the center with the pawns. If you look at the end, look at this big, powerful pawn chain, giving them great control of the center, how they took that control of the center and transferred it into a successful attack. You've seen make the weakness in the enemy position by the overwhelming pieces you have, and then adjust to those holes. Once you have the holes, you look to occupy them, invade, and attack. An absolutely wonderful, quick victory by black, and something for you to take forward. So join us in the next video, where we will continue on this attacking pattern of understanding Lollis mate, how to make it, how to use it, and how to successfully checkmate.